Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on WDBJ 7 Plus. I'm Michaela Shelton. Happy Tuesday. It is feeling so good outside this week, and we're definitely going to take a look at your First Alert hometown weather forecast in just a little bit. But first, we want to take a look at your top local headlines. We've got some stories for you this morning. The first one is about some water issues over in the Covington area that people are experiencing. We're also going to look at some zoning ordinance changes, some potential changes out in Wythe County that surround kind of the data center issue that a lot of our counties are facing. And we've also got a Target 7 report by Melissa Gaona that she has been working on for a really long time. It takes a look at a chilling child abuse case in one of our local hometowns, and the parents are speaking out about that. So we want to go ahead and take a look at those stories now.
For many here in Covington, this isn't just an inconvenience. It's disrupting daily life. No water since Thursday. Just to do some daily routine things, people have to leave their homes.
Get out of the house with the water issue and everything else like that. So yeah, take a proper shower, brought clothes up to do some laundry because can't run laundry. So yeah, essentially had to spend money on gas to go someplace else.
Danielle Chrisman traveled to her friend's house in Harrisonburg today. She says life without water is not cheap. This weekend, she spent nearly $60 on water.
That might be something that Covington might want to think about. You know, if you can't provide water through the pipe, obviously we're not going to get a discount on our bill or anything else like that. Maybe figure out another way to provide water that people can, go pick it up or whatever instead of buying it.
She says the city isn't saying much.
If we did not have Facebook, we would have known what was going on. And that's kind of sad because I know not everybody's on Facebook.
The city says the issue stems from a water main break near the CSX railroad, and repairs require coordination with CSX, making it unclear when service will fully be restored. In the meantime, some in the community are stepping up.
We figure we'll just offer, free washers for people. It's a burden that they wouldn't typically have to have if they have water at home.
Brandon Wright, owner of Right Way Motors, says over the weekend he opened up his laundromat to the public, completing over 45 loads of laundry. Yesterday, he passed out 200 cases of water. He says until water is restored, he will continue to help.
I'm born and raised here. I graduated right there. I grew up 3 blocks from here, so this town means a lot to us.
Residents say they are grateful, but say they're still hoping for a long-term solution while they wait with no current end in sight.
It's the farming land. This is where our food comes from. If it's gone, it's gone.
Back in December, it was announced Solus RX would be developing a 99-acre multi-purpose AI computing campus in Wythe County's Progress Park, an announcement many were not fans of.
No one knew anything about it. Citizens had no input, and that's what started it. We want to have a little bit of control of what comes into our community, and it's going to have a big footprint for years to come.
That lack of control stems from the county not having any zoning ordinances. Wythe County is one of 7.5 counties in Virginia that doesn't have any such ordinances. During the meeting at Fort Chiswell High School Monday, residents heard more about the county's attempts to put more regulations in place. However, the question remains, would that ordinance prevent any more data centers from coming to the county? Deputy County Administrator Matthew Hankins says that's not likely.
Well, this wouldn't prevent any use from coming to Wythe County. You can always apply if you're not listed as a use or you want to go on a property that's going to require a special hearing in front of the Planning Commission and the board. You can always apply for that use. We're not trying to keep anybody from developing here. We're just trying to manage how that development happens.
Andy Kegley was on the Board of Supervisors in the late 90s. He says there were 2 previous attempts to create a zoning ordinance. While this attempt has gone further than the others, he says more needs to be done.
The way the ordinance is written today, you could build it by right. We want them to change it from by right to special use permit, which would at least require a public hearing, which is more than we've gotten so far.
Hankins says there should be at least 2 more public interest meetings like this before the board decides to adopt any ordinances that could change how new developments are approved. In Wythe County, Austin Hicks, WDBJ 7.
She could have killed her. That girl's going to serve 365 days, if we're lucky, behind bars. And she could have killed our daughter, who had no voice to speak for herself.
Tyler and Madison Booth are high school sweethearts, and this is the house they've lived in since they got married. They have 2 children and made many memories here, some good and some they'd like to forget. Nearly 3 years ago, Tyler installed a camera in the living room despite his wife's displeasure.
I remember telling Tyler I hated that camera being up there because I felt like it was just a sore thumb, but it points to our front door to, see who comes in and out, and thank goodness we had it, but I remember giving him such a hard time for having it up there.
The camera was on and operating, but the family never had a reason to watch the footage. As Hazley reached 18 months, both parents worked, so it was time to find childcare. Excitement grew once they hired a close family friend, 19-year-old Carly Webb.
It was like a sister, it was my parents were her godparents. Her dad was like a second dad to me. It felt like, couldn't have found anybody we trusted more.
When that option came about and when her family actually reached out and said how much, Carly would love to do that. If I don't have a family member who I, trust, she is the one person that I really trust. She was, sweet. She went to a Christian school. We'd known her whole, life. She came over here and, hung out with Hazley a little bit and made us just feel so good that it was like this sense of like peace or relief knowing that we had someone we knew coming to our house to keep her.
Hi, girl. Then one afternoon, Carly made an off-base comment about a camping chair.
That Hazley really loved this chair that was sitting right about where you're sitting. It was like a camping chair that you would take like a t-ball game that rocked. I got Madison for Christmas. We had left it out because the kids liked watching movies with it. And she said she really loved that chair. She sat in it for 2 hours today. And both of us thought like, oh, that's funny, but like, there's no way. So didn't really think anything of it, but something that night just did not sit with me. And I had this feeling like, just go look at the cameras.
Did Carly know it was there?
Mm-hmm. She did.
Yeah,
it's very easy to see.
Yeah, it sticks out.
Never expecting abuse, Tyler simply thought, how do you get a child to sit in a chair that long? Tyler discovered his daughter was in the chair for 7 hours straight. Remember, Hazley is 18 months old.
When I saw that, I was like, there's something, not right here.
What kind of abuse are we talking about here?
Out of nowhere, Hazley's being quiet. Carly gets up and shakes the chair and tells her, shut the F up. What's going on? Like, I hadn't completely blindsided. This is the girl that we thought, I'd have bet you my house I couldn't get her to say a cuss word. She walks to the closet over there, grabs out a fruit strip, and walks over and smacks Hazley on the top of the head with it.
Watch as Carly takes Hazley's food that was prepared by Madison the night before, wrapping it into a paper towel, then throwing it in the trash. But things progress. Hazley is taunted, then hit with a toy gun. A moment that caught the attention of the judge in court, and it doesn't stop there. Carly puts Hazley into a tiny brown box, then kicks the box until it flips over. This footage would later be played in the courtroom. So devastating, tears were heard in the crowd.
You did not hear a peep coming out of that box. Your daughter never tried to get out. Why do you think that is?
Well, I know my daughter found the switch for survival, and I think she knew that if she could just be quiet and be calm, that maybe Carly would leave her alone. And I think that that was her way of protecting herself, was to not cry, not scream. But, even at such a young age, she had sadly found out what to do to survive those moments.
The videos we've seen are tough to watch, but they get much worse. The family has chosen very carefully what not to show. Videos of Hazley being kicked with a soccer ball, then hit repeatedly in the face while crying and saying no. Moments where she's taunted and hit with a toy gun as she cries. Days where she went without food or drink and was never taken out of her bedroom until right before her mom got home from work. And moments where she's cursed and mocked and yelled at while she cries. In the courtroom, the judge said, and I quote, "I'm 73 years old and her yelling startled me." I'm holding in my hand the external drive. There are hours of footage of 18-month-old Hazley being abused, but there's no physical scars or bruises. And yet, with all this evidence, when it comes to the law, it's not enough.
If you watch the videos, you'd say, hey, there's 50 felonies in there. The way the law is written, there's one. Toy gun pointed at her head and bouncy balls bounced off her face. Diapers put in her face. Sitting at the end of that couch having a stuffed animal beat in her face, a plastic duck thrown against her head, standing right here where my feet sit, and a soccer ball being kicked into her face.
That's just a slight glimpse into the actual torture she was going through. There's videos of her screaming in her face and calling her vulgar names, taunting her around the house. You know, there's one video where she's like singing the Freddy Krueger like song, like just pacing around our daughter. You know, just extreme mental and emotional abuse that, one, you never want to see, but also never want to see your daughter going through. So it wasn't just physical, it was a lot of emotional and mental abuse that went on.
This is the moment where most parents would say what they would do if it were them, take matters into their own hands. A comment that stings Tyler and Madison because it carries guilt. Tyler admits he wanted to do what any parent might do and get revenge. But as he slept on the floor of Hazley's room and witnessed her night terrors while crying for her daddy, he knew his job was to be there when the nightmare ended.
I sleep with my arm through the crib on her back. Just wake up and tell her it's okay. I'm here. It's okay.
And even in the midst of his baby's darkness, Tyler credits her for saving his life. Instead of driving to Carly's house to confront her, he didn't. Instead, he called police, who came in the middle of the night. They left with countless videos that told a story Hazley never asked to be a part of.
They came out that night, took the DVR, and that turned into an absolute nightmare. That night, social services had to come here after midnight to see Hazley, to physically see her. I sat right here and had an interview with social services for probably an hour and a half. They founded the case very quickly to the highest degree, which was fantastic. If our justice system could have worked a quarter of that quick, we'd have had this done a long time ago.
Welcome back to WDBJ 7 Plus. Thank you so much for staying with us. I am now joined by Krista Simpson with the City of Danville. She is the Water and Gas Compliance Coordinator. Krista, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And so we wanted to get together to talk because April 1st is the start of National Safe Digging Month, and it is spring. People are outside digging, and so we just want to kind of make sure that people are aware of some of the dangers, but also how to be, proactive and safe during this time. So Krista, just kind of, give us a little information and insight into the number that people can call and why that is so important before they start digging.
Okay, so a major part of my role is public awareness. I educate the public on the importance of calling 811 before you dig, how to recognize and respond to natural gas leaks, and also protecting underground utility lines from excavation damage.
Right, yeah. And for, those who might not be familiar, just kind of talk about what could happen or what could go wrong, if you do dig too deeply.
Okay, so underground utility lines are much shallower than people think, and it is our biggest threat as far as, excavation damages and underground utility lines. So you can injure yourself, you can cause outages, and there are very costly fines when you hit a underground utility line.
Right. And do you know about how shallow they could be? Like how many feet underground or even inches maybe?
Some utility lines can be 12 inches. So,
Okay.
I mean, even if you're just installing a fence, if you are planting a tree or installing a mailbox, you have to call 811 because you don't know what's underground.
Right. And so you said call 811. Is this number a number for everyone? Is this a nationwide number or is this, specifically local?
Yes, so it's nationwide. You would call 811 if you are going to do anything, any type of moving of the earth. You want to make sure that you call 811 or visit virginia811.com 3 days before you plan to do any type of digging or starting your project.
Yeah, I mean, it is so important. I will say I'm one of those people that did not know. You've heard of 811, but then again, it's like really just being aware to know I should call that.
Yes.
Do you know if there's a website or somewhere that people can go instead of calling that number to look up the area that they're thinking about digging in, or should they just strictly stick to calling that number?
Yeah, just call 811. 811. Excavators, if you're a homeowner, any type of digging, just make sure you call 811 first.
Right, absolutely. And then as far as Safe Digging Month, that is so important, I think, for people, even just gardening or going out and working on the farm. Is there anything y'all are doing during the month of April to kind of promote this message?
Yeah, so we have banners throughout the city. We have yard signs. I have a radio PSA. I have an event plan for April the 1st, just trying to get everybody together so they are aware to make sure that you call before you dig, because a lot of people are not aware. They might say, oh, well, I'm only going to just, be doing something very simple. But, you still have to call 811 because, again, you don't know what's below.
Yeah. And you mentioned an event on April 1st. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and tell people about it?
So April 1st, I'm having a underground utility roundtable. It's just basically getting excavators, utility companies in the area, public officials, emergency responders, basically just putting the message out there about calling before you dig. And also, if you are going to dig, make sure you dig with care.
Right, absolutely. And I did want to ask, how prevalent is this to where people are digging and interfering with gas lines? Is this something that y'all see a lot in the city of Danville, or is it kind of uncommon?
No, it's very common. You have some people that just don't know, and I catch people digging all the time, so it's very common. So it's basically trying to get the message out there to stop people from just going out digging and not calling 811. So yeah, it's very common.
Right. And you mentioned earlier there are some fines. What could people expect to have to pay if this does happen?
I'm not really sure of an exact cost, but they are very costly. So if you damage something, you can be fined.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We do not want that at all. And I'm sure
Exactly.
it's time consuming, it would be the utility companies that would have to go in and repair it, right? Or,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. The utility company would be responsible for going out, making those repairs. And again, it takes time. It can, you can really hurt someone if you hit a gas line. So just want
Right.
people to be aware about it because a lot of people don't know.
Yes, exactly. And it is, something that can easily be prevented just by calling 811. Again, that's the big number there to remember this spring and into summer
Yes,
as you're getting outside and, planting garden or whatever, digging something. So thank you
yes.
so much, Krista. Was there anything else you wanted to add at all?
Yes, I want to add that in the event if you do hit a gas line while you're out doing any type of excavation, make sure that you contact us immediately at 434-799-5284. We have a dispatch center 24/7, 365, and we will respond to those gas emergencies.
Okay, yeah, good information to know. So that's the number for if something does go wrong, if you want to call that. But in order to prevent that, just the simple 811. You don't want to have to end up dialing that longer number there, but it is good to know in case something
Exactly.
does go sideways. So, all right, well, thank you so much, Krista. I really appreciate you being on here and spreading the word about that. I really appreciate you joining us and sharing your information. So,
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
yes, thank you. Well, don't go anywhere, y'all. We will be right back with more WDBJ 7 Plus after this. All right, thank you so much for staying here with us on WDBJ 7 Plus. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime, anywhere on your phone, your computer, laptop, smart TV. That is on the WDBJ 7 website or the app. And then you can go under the WDBJ 7 Plus tab to see all of these shows, the stream shows. They will be pre-recorded and posted on there, and also you can watch us live, of course, as you are now, and all of our specials too. Everything is on that website and the app. Also, we have our new newscast coming up here in about 30 minutes that you can watch, and don't forget to tune in to all of our other evening newscasts coming up at 3, 4, 5, and 6. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you back here at 11 o'clock tomorrow and the rest of the week. Have a good one.